Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm Suzanne Monk, host of Trump Talk, the one and only live Periscope show that talks about Trump. This is a Trump Talk special edition, Supreme Court Justice Picks. I know you guys have all been excited to hear that Trump has released his list of justice picks. This has certainly brought a lot of conservatives on board the Trump train. One of the big things the Never Trumpers were nervous about is that Trump is not going to pick justices like Antonin Scalia, who are conservative, and then we're just going to pack the car with a bunch of liberal judges, which is absolutely crazy because Trump has said repeatedly he is going to go with justices that are like Antonin Scalia. So, let's just review the justices quickly and a few points about them, and we're just going to go through them one after the other. You can look them up online. Trump has a list of the justices on DonaldJTrump.com in the press release section. There's a whole list of them, so you can take a look at them for yourself. This is where I got the information, but we're just going to review a few things, a few of the names, and I'm going to tell you which ones I think are the best choice. So, there is Stephen Colleton. Stephen Colleton is a judge of the U.S. Court of Appeals in the 8th Court, and he was appointed by George W. Bush in 2003. He has clerked for Justice William Rehnquist and is an Iowa native. So that's, I love the ones who have clerked for a justice already. They have Supreme Court experience. That's great stuff. Let's move on. Allison Eid, I-E-D is how it's spelled, or E-I-D. Eid, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I just can read it, okay? E-I-D. Allison. She's from Colorado. She's an Associate Justice of the Colorado Supreme Court and was appointed by Governor Bill Owens. She has served as Colorado Solicitor General, and she has clerked for Justice Clarence Thomas. Raymond Grunder. Raymond Grunder is of Missouri. He's been a judge in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 8th Court since 2004. Was also appointed by George W. Bush. He has received his law degree from Washington University in St. Louis. So, he currently sits in St. Louis, Missouri native. Thomas Hardiman of Pennsylvania. He is a judge of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 3rd Circuit since 2007. He has also been a judge on the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Pennsylvania. And before that, he served in the private practice in Washington, D.C., in Pittsburgh, and graduated from Notre Dame. Okay. Raymond Kethledge of Michigan. He's been a judge of the U.S. Appeals Court of the 6th Circuit since 2006. He served as the Judiciary Counsel for the Michigan Senator Spencer Abraham, and he clerked for Justice Anthony Kennedy. Great. Joan Larson of Michigan is an Associate Justice of the Michigan Supreme Court. She worked temporarily as the Assistant Attorney General in the Justice Department Office of Legal Counsel, and she clerked for Antonin Scalia. She's my favorite pick so far because she worked for Scalia, really aware of his lineage and his principles. So, but there's some great picks here. Let's move on. Thomas Lee of Utah is an Associate Judge of the Utah Supreme Court since 2010. He got his degree. He has been faculty at Brigham Young University. He attended the University of Chicago Law School and clerked for Clarence Thomas. He is also the brother of Senator Mike Lee and of former U.S. Solicitor General Rex Lee. So he's certainly got some political connections. And he's a Chicago Law School native, which I love Chicago. So William H. Pryor Jr. of Alabama is a judge of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. He served since 2004. He became the Alabama Attorney General in 1997 when Jeff Sessions got his place in the U.S. Senate. And he has clerked for Judge John Minor Wisdom of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 5th Circuit in his earlier years. He received his law degree from Tulane down in Alabama. David Strauss of Minnesota. He is an Associate Justice of the Minnesota Supreme Court since 2010. He has worked at the Minnesota Law School. He got his MBA from the University of Kansas and has clerked for Clarence Thomas. Diane Sykes of Wisconsin. People have talked a lot about her. She is a judge for the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 7th Court since 2004. She has been a justice of the Wisconsin Supreme Court since 1999. And she graduated, she got her law degree from Marquette. So a smaller resume for her. Don Willett of Texas is a justice of the Texas Supreme Court since 2005. He was appointed by Governor Rick Perry. He was an advisor to George W. Bush's gubernatorial and presidential administrations and received his master's degree from Duke. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 excellent picks, and some justices, some judges who have clerked for existing conservative justices, which I think is going to be one of the most critical. Obviously, you want a good resume, and you want justices who are conservative and who are interested in upholding constitutional positions. But most importantly, I think we want justices who are going to follow the tradition of Antonin Scalia, and people who have worked for conservative justices in the Supreme Court, I believe, could do a very good job, and there are several on here. So go ahead and take a look at that, DonaldJTrump.com, press releases, list of justices, right there on the website. Some great stuff. You can look up a little bit more about each of these and pick your favorites, and we'll see what happens. We, of course, first have to elect Trump before we can get any of them on the court. So that's our goal. Thanks for tuning in. For me and Little Trumpy, just like always, we appreciate you tuning in. We want you to go ahead and keep trumping. Right after this, we have a special edition Trump Talk Q&A. We've been receiving questions from you guys on the email and on Facebook, and we're going to answer some of those right after this. So, tune in. We'll see you then. Go Trump.